It's going well, for sure.
That,
What about yourself?
yeah, man, it's going good. Yeah, it's morning here in Australia, It's just 8 o'clock in the morning,
Nice.
and just started my day at 4 this morning. Went to the gym, had my breakfast, and then here I am.
That's awesome. So you got a routine going on.
Yeah, I just keep my routine every single day. I don't really change it on the weekends or during the week. So I just wake up at the same time, go to bed at the same time every single day,
Right.
just to try to keep that as close as possible to my routine. Because just makes me easier for me, just to do everything that I got in my life. So yeah, I love like having a routine like that. It works awesome to me.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Because like honestly, um, I live the same way. It's a little bit more hectic. I know I need to like set my sleep schedule better, but
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I just like get up, I take some walks, I go to work, and same routine every day. It doesn't change, and that's the easiest way to keep the consistency. Really, is by just
yes.
like having it stay the same across the board and everything.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people they just change their routines on the weekends,
Right.
but I don't think there's a point to do that. As long as you just, of course, there's going to be some days here and there that you got, some stuff to do, and that's totally fine. But as long as you just keep, 90% of your like your routine just in place, I think that's what matters. And my life has completely changed once I just got into this routine. My life got so much better. So I don't see myself actually going to something like different from what I'm having right now. So it's been good.
That's awesome. Do you fast or you just eat 3 times a day?
I don't fast because I'm currently trying to gain a little bit more weight, trying to gain more muscles. So I'm doing like bulking phase. So fasting at this point is not gonna really help me to get what I want. I'm planning to do some fasting once I finish this bulking phase that I am because I can see a lot of benefits from it. I'm not sure if you're going to be doing that during the day, but I can see like, just having like an early dinner and then just have a late breakfast in the morning. So that's basically what I'm thinking to be like, around 13 hours of fasting, 14 hours or something like that. But at this stage, I'm not doing that. How do you do it for life? I said that we got a routine. How does that work for you? Do you do some fasting? Do you go to the gym? How is that for you?
Yeah, for me, I do fasting. Like fasting was a thing that I didn't know was a thing, but I just naturally did it. And it was
Yeah,
more so partly because like we didn't have the money to like eat, 3 meals a day.
yeah,
So it was more so I had to, like conserve my food, if you will, and eat only at certain times of the day. And so it's
yeah,
like um because of that struggle in my life, I was fasting for like, until 12 every day.
yeah.
And so like that was just naturally a thing that happened. And so like now that I know what fasting is, I intentionally do fast from 12 to 8 p.m.
From
usually.
12 from 12 in the midday and then to 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool. And then how many meals do you actually have, like, between that period of time that you actually eat something?
I have 2 meals. I try to I'm looking to get it to 1 meal. How you doing, Clarissa?
I'm good. How are you
Hey,
guys?
hello,
Uh,
Carissa. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
yeah, it's 2 meals. I want to get it down to 1 meal because there's actually science behind like if you eat every other day, you'll get sick only 2 to 3 one time every 2 to 3 years. And so like the longer you fast, the longer that period of time is.
That's awesome. I can see there is a lot of benefits relating to fasting. And I've seen like a lot of podcasts and like, very experienced people talking about it, like very professionals talking about it. And I can see a lot of benefits from it. And if you can just put like, just one meal, I think that is going to be a lot of benefits from it as well. Yeah, for sure. And how many calories do you have? It's just like, do you normally have like a big meal or you just keep that, just normal?
Usually my lunch is a big meal. So like I have like a salad, a chicken salad. with it's usually high protein. So like the chicken
Right.
salad maybe almost has 100 grams of protein in it.
Yeah.
And then I do yogurt, a zero fat yogurt, and I have grapes in there, and then I add some carbs with some crunchy little honey oats bits, and I put that in
Right.
there. And like and then a piece of toast with eggs and turkey bacon, and like that's my main go-to
Great
meal
meal.
usually every day.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then how have you been feeling with that fasting, just having like 1 to 2 meals a day? Do you feel like good during that fasting period? Because I can see a lot of people struggle with that, especially in the beginning when people start doing the fasting, because if they do that during the day, I've got like one client that I've been helping with started, implement some like intermittent fasting from like early dinner, from late breakfast. Like,
Right.
the fasting was just during the period he was actually sleeping, but he couldn't do it. He was just getting in the morning. He was just like, starving. He couldn't really stop thinking about eating something. And he said that he was just suffering too much. I was like, okay, let's just change the strategy. I know that it works. It's just like if you're like trying to lose weight, and it's very important to do. It's one of the strategies to do the fasting, but if the client really, the person doesn't really want to do it, I know it's just a phase. It's just like you really get through this uncomfortable moment until you actually get used to it. But a lot of people, they are not willing to do that, and I just have to do what they're asking me to do. But how do you see yourself? Like, how long did it take for you to actually get to this phase of like, it's annoying, I think it's hurting a bit, like not stopping thinking about food, to actually get used to it?
Yeah, for sure. Like it was the first 2 weeks was the hardest 2 weeks because
Yeah,
there's a lot of pain in those 2 weeks because you literally wake up in the middle of the night, you're salivating. I've
yeah,
been fasting already for like 3-4 years. So, but like
right,
I was, salivating, being like, oh man, like I'm hungry, the stomach pains and stuff like that. But it was like after the two weeks, it's like it got so much better. Like the hunger pains became lighter, and I think it's more
mhm,
so because like the way we were raised and we grew up, because of that cycle just being for years, decades even.
yeah,
It's like it's really hard to break that cycle, and there's a lot of pain that you have to go through in order to break that cycle. And so that's what makes it a lot more complicated when it comes to like the initial start of it. But like in about, I want to say 6 to 8 weeks maybe or something like that, I lost 20 pounds when I started fasting with intensity.
awesome.
And it was like
Yeah,
because I didn't fast properly though. I was like I could eat garbage. I could eat whatever garbage I
mhm.
want because I'm fasting now. And so like because I was fasting, I ate less garbage, but I still ate a decent amount of it. And it took me a little bit, like a few years to switch to an actual healthy diet, afterwards.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And that's exactly what I help people with. It's not just about start eating healthy or just getting to intermittent fasting, all these things. It's all about getting used to that. It's all about changing the habit and just let them know that it's going to hurt before they actually get to it. Because if they have never done fasting and they are like 30 years old, it's been like 30 years, they are doing like the same thing. So can you imagine like change something that they have been doing for like 30 years to actually
Right.
the first couple of weeks? It's always just like this change of habits, this psychology thing, how we're going to be dealing with that. And I really like to talk to people about that as well. It's not just about changing the way they read. There is a lot of psychological thing behind it. And it's always good to tell them that it's just going to hurt the first couple of weeks, but they're going to get the results. And they have to get through that in order to get to a point where they feel like okay, a little bit more comfortable with it. And that's good. But you'll get the results from it for sure.
Yeah, the results happen fast when you fast. It's just the pain also happens just as fast when you.
Yes.
Yeah, why you capping? Why you capping? No, feel like a rubber band. I've been snapping. No, yeah, I've been up here with my team, so you know this what I mean. We been going up like NASA, bro. Run it up. I swear we getting these numbers up. This time we back, then I'm coming up. I'm about to mess y'all summer up. Been in the lab like all day. I hit a J like Beyonce. I saw him coming from far away. We need it all, need it all.
Yes, that's true. And that's exactly what happens, and people need to be aware of that. And then once your body get used to it, I think you can actually, lose a lot of weights in the first couple of weeks, but your body get used to it as well, so you're not going to be losing as fast as you were losing when you started, fasting. And then
Right.
a lot of people, they just think that it's just like, oh, I was just like losing a lot of like pounds, in the first couple of weeks. What happened now is just like your body just get used to it. It's just like you're not eating the same energy, and your body just get used to actually work with less food they're actually putting in. So that's why they don't lose as much. And
Right.
but it's good, fasting it's awesome thing to do. There is a lot of benefits from it.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's definitely like with everything too. It's like when you first start working out, you lose weight fast, and it's like you gotta take advantage of like that first 4 weeks. It's like that's gonna be the fastest change you ever seen. But then after that, yeah, the body gets used to it, and so it's like, and then with us, it's muscle memory. So once that muscle memory kicks in, it's even faster. So it's like you really gotta work out hard in the beginning, but that's the hardest part too, because that's the biggest pain, the most soreness that you feel. And like
Yeah.
I remember I got to a point where I didn't feel sore anymore. I would be tired, like I couldn't push anymore necessarily, but I just didn't get any soreness. So I was like, man, I kind of miss when I felt sore, and I was like, yeah, I got a good
Yeah.
workout in. And now it's like I know I could push a little bit more, but not really. But I don't feel any soreness anymore.
Yeah, it happens, you kind of like hit a plateau, and it happens with like everyone that's just going through these phases. And most of the people that I've been helping, they're getting started into just like, into fitness, into the gym. And they just I really want to give them like a very quick win because they just feel a little bit more motivated, especially in the beginning of the program. And I just tell them, Joe, look, if you're going to be losing a lot of weight now, you're going to hit a plateau at some point, and you're just going to have to change strategies. And then that's exactly when the real work happens, because it's just like you're not going to feel as motivated as you were just feeling the first couple of weeks, because you're just like seeing a lot of results happening so quickly. And then after that, you're just going to have to get used to your body's just used to what you're eating at the moment right now, so things are going to be a little bit slower. And that's exactly why it's just like really want to treat them as something that they enjoy doing, because it might be a little bit painful in the beginning because they're just changing all the habits, all these things. But I feel like after this first couple of weeks, it's always good to talk to them in a way that they enjoy this journey, and that is actually stick for their whole lives, because it's not just about the length of the program. It's about something that they have to do for their whole lives, So I love to talk about the people that I help. Is just so they don't think that, for example, I helped them for like 3 months. That's the length of the program that I've been helping people with. And I always tell them that I want to make this journey as enjoyable as possible, because I don't want them to be thinking, oh, that's just going to be for 3 months and then I just get back to my old life. I don't think that would be like pointless of having a program like that. So it's just like I really want to encourage them. That's just like this life is just like their new identity. Someone who actually goes to the gym, follow a diet, and that's something that's going to stick for their whole life, because I think that's the most important part about like, a whole like fitness and helping people with like losing weight, all these things, because I don't want them to be doing the things just for the length of the program. It has to be happening for their whole lives, and you need to find a way to make it just a little bit enjoyable as well. It's sustainable. So they actually, like to do that. They see all the benefits is coming out of it. So I think that's an important point as well.
For sure. I guess with that being said, let's do a quick intro on who you are and
Yeah.
why you're doing this community that you got here. Let me share my screen. You got the fitness for busy entrepreneurs right here.
Yes, exactly. That's just me there, and I'll just tell you a little bit about who I am, where I'm coming from, and why I created this community. So
Uh,
Uh-oh.
I think he wants to make it a little bit more dramatic. A dramatic
Right?
intro. I guess while we're waiting on him, how you doing, Clarissa? How's your week been?
It's been good. Yeah. Been feeling like I've I'm getting ready to start actually getting onto a schedule, I think, where I feel like things are getting more habitual. So I'm excited.
So that calendar really has been doing you justice. Me, it's in that schedule.
It's so here he's back. No, he's not. It's coming. I'm trying.
No, I got you. It's complicated for sure. You know, it's like the good thing about schedule is it could be moved. You know, everything could be moved a little bit. It's like you don't like I see you're still active all the time on school and stuff. So it's like you still have your points where you're hitting these things. It may not be on the perfect timing that you want it to be, but you're still accomplishing it. And so like that's the most important part.
Yeah, definitely. And it's I'm getting more used to figuring out how I need to interact with people and to keep things moving. So
hey guys, I'm so sorry. I think my Wi-Fi just dropped it a little bit. That had started. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I completely understand it. If we could be only like the super professionals with three different internets and three different machines running the same live, you know. But you were talking about why you created this community.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just start from the beginning. So I'm Lucas. I just come from Brazil. I moved to Australia when I was 19 years old. And I moved here without my family, without knowing how to speak English, like no money, no nothing at all. And I just made a note to get my citizenship here in Australia last year. And then after I got that, I just decided to actually start my own business. And then that's when I say I was just looking back in my life and just to see what I was good at, everything what I've been doing just to help people with. And I have been like very busy with my life, just always working very long hours, like 12 hours a day or something like that. And I never really stopped going to the gym. I never really stopped following a diet and actually, just looking after my body and my health. And I decided, just to help people with like business entrepreneurs because from what I've seen, health and exercise is one of the first thing that people put aside when life gets busy. And I can see there is a lot of benefits actually coming from doing exercises because as I have been working like very long hours, one of the things that helped me to work very long hours actually being fit with myself, like lifting weights and following a diet because I was just getting a lot of energy from it. So I was able to work long hours. So I just decided, just to help people, these entrepreneurs, to actually see fitness as something to give them more energy, more focus, and to perform better throughout the day. And it's not something to actually take time away from them. It's not just about the body and your health itself, but it's all about how you're going to be performing during your day too. So I'm just like, helping people basically to get back into the gym and start seeing fitness as something different.
No, that's amazing for sure. Because like, health is like one of those things that it's such a big return, right? So like when your sleep gets better, it's like you feel so much better to take on the day. When you feel healthier, you feel so much better to take on the day, and you have a capacity to do more. And so it's like, I've been a part of the people that take their health for granted. And it's like I'll get to the gym. I'll get to it eventually. And so like I had to create systems for myself to like, okay, going to the gym is a process, right? But so that's phase one. Phase one was I went to the gym and I worked out for like a crazy amount of time. This was back when I was in college. And so I worked out and like I couldn't work out with my friends because our schedules didn't mesh. But there would be some times when we would meet up. And so like that day it would be like two workouts for the 2 hours. So I would go crazy like that. And and so most days I would do like kind of two-ish workouts. And so it was lifting heavy weights, as heavy as I possibly could. And then after that, when I lost the motivation for the gym because I moved somewhere else, um, then it was harder for me to get back into the gym. And once I finally did get back into the gym, I was almost 300 pounds. And so
Wow.
it was playing the game of showing up. Just show up for 15 minutes, and then I would literally leave so fast. Like I was like, it doesn't matter if I really want to do another machine. No, my job is just come here for 15 minutes, do a cardio machine, and get in the car, go back home. So I did that for week one, and then week two, I was like, okay, maybe I had one more machine. So I added a ab machine. And so then slowly and surely weeks go by and then I have a full workout routine. But still the objective is I only show up for 15 minutes. Everything after that is a bonus. So I learned how to work out with lighter weights. And so that trained me to work out differently. But then I fell off again. And so when I fell off again, I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to do this at the house. Because then, like, the only excuse is I'm just too lazy to walk over here, grab these things, and work out. Right. So then it's like, okay, I eliminated the 30 minutes to go to the gym, the 30 minutes to come back. An hour is gone. Right.
Mhm.
And now I know how to work out with lighter weights and make that work out. So it's like I had the technique. So combine those together, and it's like it creates a system of consistency. So I see exactly where you're coming from. That it's like once you do that, your capacity goes up so much more because then it's like I have so much energy that I'm bouncing off the walls and everybody can't keep up with me. And that's a way better situation. And I see you
Yeah,
got books behind you as well. I see you got Alex Ramos's books over there and the Atomic Habits.
yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite books out of the ones you got back there?
Yeah, first of all, it's just like it's good to see that it's just like you found ways to actually get back into the gym. You know, it started with very small time, and then after going like for the 15 minutes, you actually, started to put a little bit more time on that, and then that was just like the bonus. And it's good to see that because I love to see people actually getting back to the gym like that, to find systems. That's exactly what I help people with. Just to make their life easier, harder by adding the gym. So I always help them to restructure their routine if they need to do that as well, because it's important just to see what time they can actually fit the gym into their journey, into their routine. So it just makes something easy. And yeah, so I've got a few books in here that I've read. And I think the best ones from here, I would say like David Goggins, the one that can't hurt me, is one of the ones that I love it, like, reading them, because we can see that we are capable of doing so many hard things and we are not even aware of. So when I read that book, I was like, wow, you are able to do so much more than you're actually
Right.
doing. And yeah, so The Power of Habit is one of the things, of the books that I love the most, because it actually teaches you how to create these habits. And there is a lot of knowledge that I got from that book, because as I help people to get back into the gym, there is a lot of teachings from that book that actually can help people to implement that, which I can just, teach them how to actually implement these new habits. And habits take longer, especially if you're not used to going to the gym, if you're not used to dieting, it's always a little bit harder for you to actually get used to it. And it takes time. It's always good to help people. It might take a little bit longer, it might take a little bit less. If you have done dieting before, it's a little bit easier, but if you have never done that, it always takes longer. And yeah, so I always like reading a book all the time, and I always have a half hour of my day just to read books, because I can see that you can get a lot of knowledge from them.
Oh, that's awesome. I've always been the type that I didn't like reading books. And then I was like, but I know there's so much value in books. So I started reading books. And so eventually I was like, okay, I know I need to read these things. And so I have a whole like row of books right here on this whole shelf and stuff because it's like, yeah, there's so much value. And it's like books are a reference point. Like you'll read it once and you'll get something. And then you'll read it again and you'll get something else. So it's like a forever like learning experience from all these different books just by reading them a couple of times.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's you said something very valuable here because a lot of people they just read the book once and then they just put them aside and they say, look, I've read that, I don't need to read anymore. But once you read that again after a year or two, there is always something else that you can get out from the book, especially from what you actually live in your life during that time. Because sometimes you read that, but you didn't really have a use for your life at that point, but then also read that again a year or two later, you can actually find something more things that actually you can implement in your life right now. And that's the power of like keeping the books, because I don't like to give books away because I always like to get back to them, at some point. I always like to do like summaries as well for myself, just like highlighting all the points. And then I've got like a very short summary from the book too, because sometimes when I really want to get something out of that book, like in a very quick read, I always read my own summary. So I always, oh yeah, that's good, that comes from this book. And that's been working well, I'm always like, reading something. I've never been like that guy who is very passionate about reading. But once you get started to that, it's always easier to keep going. And it's all about getting a new habits in your life, So in the beginning, it was very hard because I was getting distracted so easily. Like while reading, my mind was just going through so many things apart from reading. But then after now that I've been reading for about 2 years, everything just got easier. I can really concentrate to myself, and I got this love for actually reading more because you can get a lot of value from them. I think that's very important.
Yeah, for sure. It's like definitely a learning process. Like with everything, it's like you work out your mind is muscle, just like your muscles are muscle. It's like you gotta work them out, and over time you build that routine where it gets stronger and easier to do. That whole task.